Hello, I'm the single player, and I'm still hurting after the so-called Emperor of the Internet apparently sent some kind of assassin to put a bullet in my shoulder. I guess he doesn't want any more video game reviewers posting videos, but I was never one to give up on something I'm passionate about. Now, in case it didn't come across in my last video, I am very passionate about video games, especially ones that evoke such different emotions as rage and excitement. So my overall opinion of the games was very positive. So I didn't want to overplay my rage and make it sound like I hated them. At first, I was happy to be reviewing video games, and I had a blast making the first video. Granted, I may have been a little camera shy, which may have stilted my delivery, or made me come across as dispassionate, or like I was trying too hard to be polite. But my heart was in it, even if it didn't seem like it. Of course, that was before I got shot. But this time, I'm shooting during the day, so I won't be blinded if the lights go out, and if someone tries to break in, I'll be ready. Now, another franchise that I have history with is Call of Duty. Not quite dating so far back as childhood, but I started playing them around the time of the third game. So when Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare was announced, I was excited that I could finally experience the action in a more timely setting. I played all the games since then, mostly for the campaigns and barely touching the multiplayer. That was until Modern Warfare 3, when a friend of mine got tired of Halo Reach's multiplayer and wanted to move on to a new game. But at that point, I began to feel like all the Call of Duty games were becoming clones of one another.
Did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity is? Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting shit to change.
The gameplay felt the same, the story felt the same, and even the settings seemed to blur together into one giant pile of the same old crap. When Call of Duty Black Ops 2 was announced, I issued a mental ultimatum to the creators that if this didn't feel like a different game, I would be done with the franchise forever. So was this the end of my Call of Duty days? Let's dig in and find out.
What is it good for? Absolutely. Listen to me.
In the year 2025, Raul Menendez,
Raul Menendez is the leader of Cortes Dia, and the most dangerous terrorist since Osama bin Laden.
classy, plans a cyber attack on America while a team of Marines tries to get information about him from a wheelchair-bound veteran. Most of the story is told through flashbacks, building to a climax confrontation between Menendez and the game's primary protagonist, David Section Mason, son of Alex from the first Black Ops game. Alex is also involved via the flashbacks and is once again voiced by Sam Worthington of James Cameron's Avatar fame. Goody! This feels less like a coincidence early on when you find out that the military is after a rare element with technological implications called Celerium, that is perhaps unobtainable? But the game manages to work in real events and people, with the very first level being about the Angolan Civil War, wherein your character fights alongside the late military leader Jonas Savimbi. More central to the story, though, are the themes of revenge and obsession, as the villain's primary motivation is the fact that a soldier who was once captured and tortured by Menendez in his days as a gunrunner botches a capture mission by throwing a grenade meant for him that instead kills his younger sister. This makes a villain that's supposedly worse than bin Laden into a more sympathetic character, whilst also painting the military as somewhat incompetent, since they brought up the soldier's history with Menendez a few times and sternly warned Alex to keep him in check.
Mason, keep an eye on Woods. Seeing Menendez again, he's losing it.
And while it isn't always the best idea to make us sympathize with the antagonist, it is a breath of fresh air from the one-dimensional, mustache-twirling cartoon villains of previous games. But the best part is the fact that the game plays out differently depending on how you complete certain missions, so the ending won't always be the same.
What is it good for? Absolutely. Listen to me.
The game features stunning visuals and a series of unique set pieces that keep the game from feeling like previous tours through countless apocalyptically war-torn cities. The futuristic setting certainly helps keep things fresh as well. Like Star Wars The Force Unleashed, some actors lent their voices and faces to their characters. This time, the most notable examples are Tony Todd of Candyman fame and Michael Rooker, the star of Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. In the credits, you'll notice a very long list of people who worked on this game in the animation department, and it shows. From the very first cutscene, it's clear that the developers wanted every detail to leap off the screen like a blockbuster movie. And when you get down to it, that's what this game feels like. A huge budget summer action flick, but with interactivity and multiple outcomes. Not to mention better CGI.
What is it good for? Absolutely. Listen to me.
The soundtrack to this game is basically just another epic orchestral score. Again, not a bad thing, but this time it's not one associated with a huge film franchise. Though there is a post-credit sequence involving all the game's characters, including the dead ones, dancing at a nightclub to an excellent party song called Carry On.
If you're lost in a vault, or you're sinking like a stone, carry on. Let your past be the sound of your feet upon the ground and carry on.
No, not that one, but that is a good song. No, I'm talking about a heavy metal song created for the game by the band Avenged Sevenfold, who also appear in the sequence as animated versions of themselves performing the song. And as a fan of theirs, I must admit that was totally unexpected and totally awesome. The voice acting in this game is top-notch. Every performance proves that the actors put just as much into their characters as the creators did behind the scenes. There were even a few unexpected actors showing up to lend their voices to smaller roles. Namely, James Hong, who is best known for playing David Lopan in Big Trouble in Little China. Indeed! And a supporting character voiced by Michael Keaton.
I'm Batman.
The only downside is having to hear support characters yelling at me for being an idiot or just not getting objectives done fast enough. Though I do miss the comical stupidity of Keith David yelling at me to defend Burger Town in Modern Warfare 2.
Ramirez, take your team and secure the Burger Town. Keep them away from Burger Town. Ramirez, the convoy is just to the south of Burger Town. Get your ass over here. Move!
Ultimately, though, there are a few games that impress me more with the voice work, but I'll probably get into that in my next review. Even the sound effects in this game are really well done. They really went out of their way to make sure that everything made a noise, but it's all really well balanced so as not to deafen the player. Unless, of course, you get hit by a concussion grenade. Sometimes I think that ringing in my ears is actually tinnitus.
What is it good for? Absolutely. Listen to me.
Despite its differences, the actual gameplay in Black Ops 2 is very similar to previous games, though admittedly I doubt they could really change it all that much. But the things that make it feel different are new features that were added. For example, you can now customize your loadout before you begin a story mission. Specifically, you can choose your primary and secondary weapons, although there are recommended settings for each mission. Furthermore, you can select different sights for your gun, or other customizable options, such as a better grip to reduce recoil, or extended magazines to increase your ammo. Also contributing to the game's action movie feel are sequences that I like to refer to as playable cutscenes. The level of interactivity is limited to basic movement and the occasional QuickTime event, but they do help to establish a very different kind of atmosphere. There's a part that requires you to ride on horseback, and another which is a futuristic mountain climbing section, which is then immediately followed by a glide suit flight that made me feel like I was Batman, if only for a brief moment. And any game that makes me feel like Batman gets an automatic recommendation. However, there is one part of the game that didn't work for me, and that is the semi-optional real-time strategy missions. I say semi-optional because I read somewhere that it factors into the ending that you get. These Strike Force missions, as they're called in the game, are really not my wheelhouse, and the best I can figure, real-time strategy is specifically designed for the computer so that users can click their units individually, collectively, or categorically and have them perform different tasks. Console controls, however, don't work that way. I found this out the hard way when Black Ops 2 essentially threw me into the middle of the ocean and said, "Hey, watch out for sharks." I want to make something perfectly clear. I'm an idiot. When people talk about gamers who basically only play violent games and only know how to run around and shoot people in said games, they're talking about me. And it doesn't help that all the previous Call of Duty games were pretty much just like that. You run around, you shoot the bad guys, and if your screen turns red, just hide behind something until it goes back to normal. Needless to say, I failed the Strike Force missions miserably and embarrassingly, and that is probably why I got the worst possible ending.
What is it good for? Absolutely. Listen to me.
There were a few frustrating aspects of this game. The playable cutscenes were nice, but they felt more like action set pieces than actual gameplay. And the Strike Force missions were a strike out for me. Although, I imagine there are some people that might enjoy them. I'm just not one of them. But overall, I can't hold a grudge against a game that, at the very least, was trying really hard to be refreshingly new. The question, though, is, did this game feel different enough to keep me invested in the franchise? The answer, in short, is yes. Despite petty gripes that I tend to latch on to, the creators seem to be aware of my feelings of repetition, as I'm sure many fans of the franchise were beginning to feel the same way. Put simply, we got tired of playing the same game over and over again with just different titles. Luckily, the non-linear story and other new additions to the game helped to make this entry into the franchise feel more like a reboot than a cloned sequel. The villain is more sympathetic, but not to the point where you want to see him destroy the entire country. But it might make you think about the ways in which a person can stand up for what they know is right, even if it means opposing the government. I recommend it for people who are skeptical like I was, and ironically, I think this game speaks to the revolutionary in all of us. Stop right there. Who the hell are you? I mean you no harm. I have no name to speak of, but I call myself the Revolver Revolutionary, after my weapon, which I promise I will not draw upon you. But you may call me Rev, for the sake of brevity. Wait, you mean Rev like the drummer of Avenged Sevenfold who died a few years ago? No, you don't get that name for breaking into my home. Very well, perhaps Revo instead. What is important is that I am another enemy of the oppressive Emperor, whose iron fist has ensnared many an unwitting soul with his traps hidden deep within terms and conditions contracts that no one ever reads. I am one such soul, and you do not wish to know what I accidentally agreed to. So what do you want from me? I have been following that vicious assassin for some time, trying to locate the Emperor's base. Since you are the only victim he's ever had orders to leave alive, I wanted to see if you were okay, and ask for your assistance in forming a resistance movement. So, will you join me? Do I want to fight back against the assholes who jacked up my shoulder and threatened to kill me? You bet your mysterious ass I do. When do I start? For now, I will stay close by. They will come for you since you have not caved to their demands. In the meantime, we should arm ourselves to the teeth and keep an eye out for more potential allies. Stay safe, my friend. I will. Farewell. Guess I should make some new friends.
The assassin you sent failed to scare off the reviewer. He has made another video. What is thy bidding, my master?
Kill him.
As you wish.